Good afternoon. Can you see the picture? The audience, can you see the picture? It's not. It looks like a place, right? It's a country. It's just, I just want to ask you, where is this picture taken from? Give me a guess. Where is it taken from? The moon? Interesting. The moon. Other options? Mars? Seaside? That's a very good answer. Yes? Okay. Can you just have a closer look at the top right hand? There is a sun, right? Right? Beside that sun, what is there? This is another sun. Okay. Since the existence of the Homo sapiens, our ancestors, around 40,000 years back, and the human being has been looking for the so-called existence, right? Where we came from, who are we, right? Why are we here, right? Technology evolved, and in 2009, NASA started the so-called telescope, which is traveling in a high speed, high velocity. It's called Kepler. Kepler started in 2009, okay? The Kepler's mission was to look for the so-called exoplanet. You know the meaning of exoplanet? Exoplanet is an Earth-like planet that is rocky, as in it has rocks, rocky in nature. It has water in a liquid format. It has oxygen, and it has O3, which is an ozone layer. From 2009, Kepler brought for us around 4,980, around 5,000 exoplanets around us, okay? Until date, Kepler retired, and there was another telescope gun. Until now, we have discovered 11,000 exoplanets. They look like Earth. They have oxygen. They have ozone layer. They are rocky in nature, and they have water. And they revolve around a sun. And they revolve within the so-called Goldilocks. Goldilocks is the habitable zone, which is the temperature that a human being could live in, survive on Earth, which is minus 89 degrees on Antarctica, all the way to plus 58 in California. This is the record temperature that reached plus and minus. So this is the habitable zone. So far, there are 11,000 exoplanets revolving around a sun, within the Goldilocks or the habitable zone. We don't know yet whether those 11,000 planets have life. But why am I bringing this story for you? This picture is taken from our cousin, what's called Super Earth. This is the closest exoplanet to our system. Kepler, in around 2016, before it retired, it brought for us the closest. This is Sun and Earth, and this is the two suns that you saw. The two suns are called Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B. Those suns are old mothers. Our sun is young sun, okay? Our sun is very young. These two suns are red dwarf. So they are about to die. However, the three planets that are revolving around these two suns are called Proxima Centauri A, Proxima Centauri B, and Proxima Centauri C. This planet that you see here, the red one, is Proxima Centauri B. This sun has ozone layer. It has water in a liquid format. It is rocky in nature. It has oxygen, and the interesting thing about it is its temperature is permanent throughout the year, 28 degrees. which is perfect, which is a perfect super Earth. Okay? When this came into knowledge in 2016, this is from the BBC, Jeff Bezos, who's the ex-CEO of Amazon, said, this is the perfect solution for global warming. This is the perfect solution for global warming. What we can do is, let's transfer all the heavy industries on Earth, put them on Proxima Centauri b, so all the pollutions happen there, of course, assuming that there is no life there. We don't know yet, okay? Assuming there is no life there. So let's say that we put all the heavy industries there, and he said, we, Amazon, will transfer all the goods and services from Proxima Centauri b into Earth, and the Earth will be a paradise. No pollution, no gas remittance, no factories, nothing. But the challenge is very complex. What do you think the challenge is? Distance, very good. So this is the closest solar system to us. This is our cousin, yeah? They are far away from us 4 light years. What does this mean? 40 trillion kilometers. 40 trillion kilometers. In the current technology that we have, we need, what do you think, how many years to reach Proxima Centauri b? Roughly speaking? Roughly speaking? 200-300 years. 75,000 years. So if we want to go and take our heavy industries there, we need 75,000 years back, and forth, this is 150,000 years. So the problem is with technology, the problem is with distance, the problem is with know-how, right? What else? Resources, right? We need a lot of resources. Until now, the human race is a very primitive race in terms of understanding the time. What is time? We don't understand time. We don't understand even the basics of the universe. We don't even understand Big Bang theory and Big Crash theory and what's happening with the black hole, etc. So what I'm trying to say here is that the challenge is extremely complex, and therefore the solution is going to be very complex. Why am I bringing this story with regards to education? When I took over this role with Alpha Publishing around 6-7 months back, I was looking at the complexity of the so-called how to produce an effective educational system. And we found out through research, through market analysis, through working with our partnerships, that the problem is extremely complex, and therefore the solution is going to be complex. I will come back to Proxima Centauri, our cousin, which is my dream planet to live on. Can you imagine? There is beach and 28 degrees all over the year. It's perfect, right? However, the problem is how to reach there, right? Now, this is exactly the problem. How can we reach to an effective educational system with the current challenges? We started with our MEL unit, Monitoring, Evaluation and Learning unit. We hired a lot of researchers. We talked to a lot of universities. We talked to a lot of funding agencies. And we were trying to look at what is happening currently. And I want to just bring here an example, one example of the research that was announced recently. INCHEON, do you know where's INCHEON? South Korea, right? So INCHEON, in the World Education Forum in 2015 gathered in INCHEON, South Korea. And it had around 160 countries, 1,600 participants, and around 120 ministers. And it had all these key players. As you can see, the World Bank, all the UN, the UNHRC, HCR, sorry, UN Women, UNDP, UNESCO, UNICEF, etc. And they were looking at the vision, a vision for this, what they called it is the INCHEON Declaration and the Framework for Action for the Implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. They were looking at the sustainable development recently. And one of the interesting findings was education is the tool to transform lives. Education is the tool to transform lives. We all know this, right? But the interesting thing is, with the challenges that this forum identified. They identified 3 main challenges, and they added one when they reconvened again in 2021 during Corona. So the challenge was social inclusion and social cohesion, right? Or the Americans like to call it social inclusiveness and social cohesiveness. You have gender parity, access to educational content, and most recently, access to digital. These are the major challenges, right? And we all know that these are the major challenges. So what I'm trying to do here is bring you bits and pieces of the research we have done, we have conducted. This is an example. So I encourage you to go and read about the INCHEON Declaration. This is something very interesting. And what we came up with our partners is the following. We called it the TRILOGY of educational development. So we said that you need content. Content can be a book, printed book, can be digital resource, right? It can be supporting materials, it can be teacher training, it can be academic book, it can be supplementary, it can be anything. But the important thing about this content is it has to be accredited. There should be a third-party quality check. Somebody who would come and tell you, yes, your contents are meeting the international standards, their quality is good, and yes, you need these tweaks, you need this and to do this and that so that you come up with the right content. And what you need is a legitimate assessment, although the new research here, I just met a lady in the morning and she was telling me there is an interesting research saying a lot of things about assessment. Do we need to assess our students or not? So assessment here is one of the components that is questionable, but one of the components that would complement the trilogy. The important thing is content with accreditation, with assessment, have to be all within a digital platform. Okay? So what we did is, so we are Alpha Publishing, we said that we have the content. We went to a partner that is called Gatehouse, which is an awarding body, British one, who did a quality check on the content. And we went to Saxon Educational Portal that have access to assessment. They do assessment. And together, we did this trilogy. We gathered everything in a digital platform. The key word here is what? Is what? What is the key word here? Collaboration, partnership, right? We can't do it alone, right? How is this linked to our cousin Proxima Centauri b, our dream planet that we all want to reach to, including Jeff Bezos, who's now dedicating all the resources to see how we can create this technology that would make us reach Proxima Centauri. Let me just give you an idea about some of the case studies and best practices in the region here of collaboration. And then we will go back to our story, Proxima Centauri. PADILIE stands for the Partnership for Digital Learning and Increased Access, which is a part of an initiative under the so-called Strategic Partnerships for Higher Education, Innovation and Reform. This is, again, a consortium of different companies together working towards helping the Syrian refugees. When the Syrian crisis started here, the 2 most affected countries were Jordan and Lebanon. So this consortium, PADILIE, and I will come to it now, what they said here is that let us look at the displaced students from the higher education sector from Syria living in Lebanon and Jordan. Let's see how we can bridge this gap and help. Okay? PADILIE reached to around 1 million student plus, helping them to continue their higher education. The interesting thing is if you look at the number of organizations participating in this consortium, PADILIE down, there is Al Bayt University in Jordan, American University of Beirut in Lebanon, King's College London, Kiron from Germany, and Future Learn from UK. It's the same trilogy repeated, which is a digital platform combining assessment with content that has been verified through King's College. FutureLem and Kiron are the digital capabilities. They are the ethics organizations. AUB, Al Bayt University are the content. Please read about Padili. It's very interesting. And now Padili is expanding into Egypt. They are expanding into Africa. They are expanding into Iraq, into Yemen, into all the other countries. Not only helping with the Syrian refugees, they are helping with the underprivileged people as well of the same country. Another interesting example is Zimbabwe Learning Passport. Please go and read about the Learning Passport. It is such an interesting way of collaborating with others. Is there anybody from Africa here? From Zimbabwe, Africa? When COVID hit, around 5 million students were affected in Zimbabwe. Okay? The Ministry of Education was trying to come up with innovative ideas of what we need to do to be able to help the students there. Zimbabwe has a very poor internet connectivity, the way is what's happening in Africa now. Along with, it's a poor country. The Ministry of Education was extremely innovative, and they came up with the idea of, why don't we broadcast the lessons for the students, each grade, on the radio? So there was a radio dedicated for an online teaching and learning. Who heard of this? The giant Microsoft. Microsoft said, you know what? We are going to help the Ministry of Education in Zimbabwe, and we are going to create a platform where we will host the broadcast of the radio lessons. We will bring content along with assessment and put them on one digital platform. The interesting thing is, this project moved into a mobile application after some time. What's interesting is, when the UN heard about it, the UN intervened and they said, we want to be part of this consortium. And if you learn more about the Learning Passport of Zimbabwe with Microsoft, you will find out that it has local organizations, there is the platform from Microsoft, there is the material being given from publishers, and they are all complementing the so-called TRILOGY. Content, assessment, accreditation, all being put on one digital platform. The interesting thing is that around 70,000 users, which is 20% of the target audience of 300,000 for the first year, which is 2021, March 2021, the whole project started, and it registered in the first year around first week around 70,000 students. That was a very successful pilot. Again, the key word is collaboration, partnership. What I'm trying to say here is, you cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone. It is the time of collaboration. You have to collaborate. Even the giant Microsoft is collaborating with other organizations to make it happen. You remember when we talked about the 3 companies, right? It was Alpha Publishing, it was Saxon Educational Portal, and it was Gatehouse, right? Now, we are much bigger. So now we are creating the African Educational Consortium that consists of Learnosity. You know Learnosity? This is the giant assessment machine or tool. They can integrate assessment within a digital platform. We have now AWS with us, Amazon or Amazon Web Services, wanting to be part of this consortium. We have Wise Nose. Have you heard of Wise Nose? Wise Nose is a startup in the Netherlands. Please read about them. They are a very interesting startup. What they do is they curate resources from the internet and can integrate them in any learning management system, in any LMS. We are working with Snaplify. That is, again, a digital platform, very strong, has a very strong presence in Africa. We are working with WAND. You know WAND? WAND is a British organization that is famous for schools management system / single sign-on solution. We are working with BookR. Have you heard of BookR? BookR is a Hungarian startup that are doing library or a digital library. So if you look at this trilogy, it's not a trilogy anymore, it's a consortium of different partners collaborating together, where we have here the content, we have the assessment, we have the accreditation, we have the platform, we have an e-library, we have curated resources from the internet. All this are on a cloud. We have an accreditation, and they are all connected together under one consortium. We will be going to Africa with this consortium, to the ministries and the schools, and so on and so forth. If you are interested by any sort or form or shape to be part of this consortium, you are more than welcome. We always say you can't do it alone. Even the giants cannot be doing it alone. Even the giants now, even the AWS are coming to us. We are going to them just to be collaborating together. Even Microsoft in the Learning Passport with Zimbabwe collaborated with other organizations to make it happen. Even Padilla collaborated with other organizations. All the initiatives you are seeing nowadays, and as much as we hated COVID, it accelerated a lot of things that should have happened long time back. One of which, to me, is digitization plus consortium or partnerships work. Of course, this will have a great effect on the higher education sector or the schools in terms of, the value of you are making sure that the learning outcomes are met as per the standards. You are making sure that the evaluation of the school is going to be different, because there is a content. This content is quality checked. There is an assessment, legitimate assessment or authentic assessment from a third party, all integrate on a digital platform. You will increase the digital capabilities of the schools or higher education sectors. You will, of course, enhance the student learning outcomes. Even you look at the well-being of the teacher and the students. Because when I say assessment here, not necessarily assessment in the subjects. We are talking here about cognitive and non-cognitive skills and abilities check for the students, which is something very important. Which is a holistic approach. It's a solution that you go to ministries and schools with. That you don't need to bring them one bit of the thing. You bring them all the bits and pieces that would complement the puzzle. I don't want to make it a sales pitch. This is not a sales pitch at all, but we are Alpha Publishing. Just for you to know, we are an international leading international learning solution provider. We have American system, and we have English, math, science, social studies mapped against the Common Core State Standards and the NGSS, as you may know. We have ELT materials. We have SEL, social emotional learning, and STEAM supplementary materials. We are very much famous now for having the MEL unit, Monitoring, Evaluation, and Learning unit. And this is because my background is Pearson and Cambridge. So I took this idea from Cambridge, which we started this kind of research and thought leadership, which is something very important to look at when we look at the pedagogy of what we are producing. And Gatehouse is a renowned British awarding body. It is very famous for doing accreditation, schools, universities, ministries, as well as producing contents in the English language testing, as well as teacher training. And they do, of course, materials, prep exams, etc. And we are working with Saxon Learning Educational Portal, which is an e-learning platform that has around 800 plus courses and professional development, language courses and professional development courses. And they are owned by Qualifications House UK. They are a state-of-the-art. They use a very interesting technology, cutting edge in what they are doing. They are now very big in countries like Italy, like Egypt, like Cyprus, like Malta, etc. Back to Proxima Centauri. I can't get over it, right? Back to Proxima Centauri. You see this picture? Yeah? It's much clearer from the other picture, right? The first one, right? Why? You know why? This Proxima Centauri B is taken from a new technology, this picture. And NASA kept looking until they found a very similar geography or scenery in Chile that looks like it. This is Earth, this is Proxima Centauri B. Can you imagine? It's amazing how this planet is a super Earth, really and truly. Why I'm bringing this up? To just finish my presentation by saying that this picture is very clear because this is being taken very recently by a new technology. It is called HARPS. Wait a minute. High Accuracy Radial Velocity Planet Searcher, which is a new technology. Of course, I don't understand a lot about it. Just try to read. It was like kind of, Chinese to a Jordanian guy, exactly. I don't understand anything about it. But what's interesting about it is this is a result. This new technology is a result of a collaboration between NASA, Roscosmos, which is the Russian Space Agency, and CNSA, which is the China National Space Administration. For a change, they are collaborating. Anyway, the idea is, what I'm trying to say here is, even the giant NASA cannot do it alone. They had to go to China and Russia and create this new technology, which is the HARPS, that made us come to a point where we are picking such a close picture for Proxima Centauri b. I will end up with what the amazing Nelson Mandela said. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I would add to it through partnership and collaboration. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions? Yes.
Yes, please.
Right over here.
Last evening, when I went to bed, I had met about 30 professionals across these two tracks who had platforms. And here I was coming from India thinking that, I had a world-beating platform. So I echoed those thoughts yesterday that, how can all of us compete? We'll have to collaborate. Right? I mean, the platforms, these will commoditize.
Yeah.
And when you said this, it all sort of, the last night's, all that chaotic thinking is now something that you have articulated. Thank you so much for at least making my mind, sorting my mind out. Two, while I would want to talk to you separately, I do a lot of games on demand. So games at $1 or half $1 very quickly. So we created a marketplace for games and simulations where people can on camera test themselves on how they performed in different situations.
You have to join our consortium in Africa. You have to.
So we would like to collaborate with you in terms of how these can be massified.
Definitely.
And we use language and sentiment. So of course, we would want to use that to ensure that how we are good at English and our local languages, how we can help different African languages. So I'd love to speak to you. I'm quite very happy that I listened to your...
Definitely.
I almost missed your presentation. I'm very happy I
Good,
came
thank
here.
you. Thank you
so much.
What the whole idea, guys, if people like NASA, if people like Microsoft, if people are realizing that we cannot do it alone, that is a message, right? That is a message. And I think this amazing picture, we couldn't have reached to a point where we have a picture from Proxima Centauri b that close without a technology that is a collaboration between US, China, and Russia. Even those countries, for a change, they realize that they have to collaborate, right?
Can you hear me now? Yes. Just listening to your presentation has given me so much inspiration in terms of, I used to run public sector for Microsoft 15 years ago in India. And we used to do many things, but eventually one of the reasons I left is I used to feel I'm only trying to push Windows and Office sales versus making real impact. And then I went into publishing, and I was at Elsevier. I was running South Asia for Elsevier. And I started my company 7.5 years ago. And what I've been inspired by is going back to saying, I need to go back and connect with so many different partnerships.
Definitely.
Because I decided to focus on the problem I could solve best in this ecosystem, which was the platform and not the content by itself. So I'd love to just exchange thoughts and
Definitely.
See if there's any way I can help you in any part of this.
Thank you. Definitely.
Any further questions? Well, thank you very much, sir,
Thank you very much.
for your very passionate outlook. Thank you.
Thank you very much.